Grow bag, plastic. Two pots everyone swears are the best. A tried and true pot and a new pot on the block. Today we settle the age-old question. Which is better at growing pot? I mean, the better growing pot.
Round 1. Fight!
A grow bag's main selling point is its root pruning ability. The idea is that the roots grow out towards the end of the bags, hit the side, and then branch off as if they're hitting air. I haven't taken many out of my big grow bags, but I haven't noticed much of a difference when I have. There was a time where I had to reach the walls and grow downwards, kind of like a plastic pot. Plastic pots are known to circle once they hit the bottom, unless they hit one of the drainage holes. I've never found root circling to be an issue in my own pots. When I up-pot, I put them straight into a bigger pot, and I don't tease the roots out or spread them or anything like that. And I've had no issues with this method. I will concede that a fibrous root ball is more beneficial for a plant. I've seen certain crops that grow like weeds. They've had very impressive fibrous root systems in grow bags. So this round goes to the grow bag.
Round 2. Fight!
Personally, I don't worry too much about drainage. I only care that it drains at all. How long that takes is not really so much of a concern of mine, because eventually the water will run out at the bottom. Here's a guava that only has one tiny drain hole and it gets regularly flooded. This is the first year in like 3 years that it's fruiting in the half barrel, so it does like the water. But I know a lot of gardeners are concerned about drainage, and without a doubt, grow bags drain faster. With the plastic pot, you only get drainage from the bottom of the drain holes, and with the grow bag, you basically get 360 degrees of drainage because none of the sides will actually hold water in. I honestly prefer a slower draining container that'll allow more time for the soil to soak up moisture. So I personally lean more towards plastic, but there's no arguing that a grow bag will drain faster than plastic.
Round 3. Fight!
Keeping plants wet, along with other things, can be tricky. If we pull these plants out of their pots, you might see some random dry spot. This is because water flows in the path of least resistance. And the same situation applies in containers. If a container becomes too dry, it can become hydrophobic and shed off water instead of absorbing it, especially if you're using peat moss. This situation is worsened if you're using grow bags because they're so porous, you can just have water gliding off the edges. If you're using a hose, you can just blast water into it and it'll go around the rim and soak downwards. And this will allow it to absorb more water. With grow bags, it's a little trickier. Since the lips of the edge don't hold anything, it just leaks down the side. There's nothing to direct it downwards evenly. So this round goes to plastic. With the right drip emitters, the issue is largely eliminated.
Round 4. Fight!
Round 4 is aeration. Plastic pots only really have airflow from the top and from the drain holes. When the pots start getting root bound and start circling around and sticking to the sides, you could also get some air from those places, even though it might only be a marginal amount. I've also seen some nurseries drill holes in the side of the pot, a couple here, to provide air as well. Without a doubt, this round goes to grow bags because grow bags are able to breathe all the way around the sides because they're permeable. And if you use a pot elevator, something like this that has holes on the bottom, you can also get aeration from the bottom as well. And I used to care very little about aeration because I have so many plants growing in plastic that are growing very well, but extra air does help plants grow. And I learned this recently growing papayas, how much they need oxygen to thrive, but that's a whole different subject. But there is another important factor to consider. The trade-off for aeration in grow bags is temperature control.
Round 5. Fight!
Black plastic will always be warmer than a grow bag, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Personally, I tend to favor having warmer roots in my plants. Grow bags will basically equalize the ambient temperature, so the roots will be the same as what's outside. It doesn't hold in heat the same way that black plastic does. Yes, I know that can burn the roots on some plants, but I find that if you shade them from the direct sun, they tend to not burn and they handle with no issues. This is a close round, but it goes to black plastic for one main reason. I can cool down a black plastic pot from the heat. But it's difficult to heat up a grow bag from the cold. You'd have to get very creative during the winter to keep something like this warm outside. Maybe you could wrap it in saran wrap, but that's kind of like a plastic pot at that point. Or you could build some kind of structure around it. You could do a heated greenhouse, but then you need to have a heated greenhouse. I can even see dropping a grow bag inside a plastic pot. But again, that's just like having a plastic pot. So the round goes to plastic.
Round 6. Fight!
Prices are generally comparable to smaller size pots, but you really see a difference once you get in the 25-gallon and up sizes. When I started gardening, I checked on Amazon for grow bags, and the prices for 5 25-gallon grow bags was a little more than $5 each. And these were the AC Infinity ones, which are great quality grow bags. But I also have a cheap black 20-gallon grow bag that I got on Amazon as well. And that's been holding up for like 5 years with my avocado. And if you were looking for a black plastic one at that time, the price was around 5 times as much if you include shipping. Now the AC Infinity ones are $44 for 5, or about $9 each. It's almost a 70% increase. And I recently bought a bunch of black plastic ones for $7 each at a local nursery. So for me, I can get a big plastic pot pretty cheap in my area. I've seen them on Facebook Marketplace for as cheap as $6 each, but I do see different brands on Amazon, which are still about $6 each for 25-gallon grow bags as well. So they're kind of similar. And to be honest, if you're not moving your grow bags around, you don't really need to worry about the durability of the handles and whatnot. So these cheaper grow bags would probably do fine for you. And we also have a pot manufacturer in my area, so that's probably why they're so cheap on Facebook Marketplace and in the nurseries. I would think if you're in some random city without one, that the price would be much higher. You'd be hard pressed to find 25-gallon plastic pots for $6 each, and you definitely wouldn't find them for that much ship. For this reason, round 6 goes to grow bags.
Round 7. Fight!
Moving grow bags sucks. Often lose your handles from trying to move them around. And they're spread so far apart that you can't really lift them by yourself. You definitely need 2 people, and they're quite weak unless you're lifting them up and down. You try to pull them to the side, they break off. On the other hand, I can move a 25-gallon pot by myself. And I can tilt it over and get it onto a dolly. I don't think I can even get a 15-gallon pot on a dolly without disturbing its root ball. If I can, the stress of moving around will wear down that grow bag pretty quickly. Plastic easily wins this round.
Round 8. Fight!
While plastic pots are stackable, you are limited to a minimum size of 1 pot for where you want to store them. This really becomes significant when you start getting into bigger sizes. Since grow bags are foldable, you can really tuck them in wherever you like. You can like fold them up and put them in your pocket, put them in a binder like some Pokemon cards, vacuum seal them and put them in your closet. This is why they're so cheap to ship as well. With plastic, you just really can't do anything with the size that they take up. Grow bags takes this round.
Round 9. Fight!
Alright, I know plastic doesn't look good. It's a soulless material, second only to polyester, which is also plastic, I think. I find grow bags to be a little bit better. They're made from like a felt material, which is non-woven polypropylene or something like that, which I think is also plastic. If you compare plastic and grow bags, I think grow bags have more character. But you often get this wet, perched water table look as the water pools to the bottom. But over time, you'll get like an algae buildup and also a salt crust that builds around the outside. Both of those effects are worse if you leave them straight on the ground, which is why I use pot elevators to keep them up a little bit. It also helps with oxygenizing the bottom of the pot. That's the scientific term. Another thing with grow bags, if you're really lucky, you can also get weeds growing out the side of them. So although plastic is ugly, grow bags are gross. So plastic wins over grow bags.
Final round. Fight!
Now, all these factors can make a difference in what pot you choose, but the real question is which one grows plants better? Because all that matters in the end is how well our pot grows. I have to say both of these generally grow plants very well, but I have had problems with grow bags. For whatever reason, some of my plants didn't like growing in it, and I'm talking specifically about citrus. So I grew 2 Meyer lemons, one in plastic, one in a grow bag. I treated them exactly the same, watered the same, fertilized them the same. I even fertilized them every day at one point, and I even peed on them. So both of these Meyer lemons were rooted cuttings, so they're genetically identical. So it's not a rootstock issue. There's no genetic variability. And like I said, everything was the same, water, fertilizer, all that. But for whatever reason, the plastic pot grew way, way better than the one in the grow bag. I suspect it was because of the root temperature, because the plastic ones would be warmer. But to be honest with you, I don't know the reason why. I know others are successful with them, but for whatever reason, it didn't work for me. Citrus are one of those plants that gardeners want to grow the most. And based on my experience, I wouldn't grow them in a grow bag. But I'd love to hear about your situation if you had success with them. Not only is citrus, I also had failures with figs. I had a few rooted cuttings that I put in different pots, and the ones in plastic did well, and the ones in grow bags actually didn't survive the winter. Same mineral-based soil, same fertilizer, same water, same everything. It just didn't seem to grow well. I can only assume that the root zone in the grow bag was just too cold compared to the one in the plastic pot. And I have some pretty big trees. I have big avocados and jujubes. They're doing well in grow bags, but just some plants just don't seem to tolerate very well. And while my avocados are happy in grow bags, they're also fruiting and happy in plastic pots. Yes, the plastic can get too hot, but I can shade that during the summer. I can't heat up the grow bags in the winter without some kind of complicated setup. So although I've grown great plants in both containers, I have had more failures in grow bags than in plastic. Better citrus in plastic, better figs in plastic. This is not to say that grow bags don't work, they definitely do, but the citrus and figs were complete failures for me that I haven't experienced in plastic. For how I grow and my experience as a pot grower, I would choose black plastic 99% of the time to grow my trees.
You win!
One key thing I should mention is that I grow all my plants in a mineral-based soil. I go to great lengths to keep out the organic matter. So that's like the wood, leaves, compost, barks, basically anything that can decompose quickly. Aside from peat moss, and I'm kind of leaning away from that as well. Maybe people are having better luck with grow bags because the wood and the organic matter helps insulate the roots compared to my mineral-based soils. Because you definitely get way more aeration in a grow bag than a plastic pot.
Here comes a new challenger.
If plastic has its benefits for temperature and grow bags have their benefits in aeration, then aren't air pots the best of both worlds? They probably are, to be honest with you. I tried them when I first started gardening and they were a pain in the booty to water, which is why I stopped using them. Water would leak out of the holes from the sides here. And there's no rim, so water would just kind of leak out everywhere. But I've seen some nice root structures created out of these pots. And with the right drip emitters, you don't have to worry about the problems with watering them. If you're looking for root pruning, then these are a great choice. And you can also unwrap these. They come apart from the screw, and that makes it really easy to root prune if you're doing bigger sizes like 25 gallons and up. Issues with watering also solved by drip irrigation, so you don't have to worry about water leaking out the sides. Just control a slow drip in the middle. So will I be transitioning to air pots? Not anytime soon, because I have way too many plastic pots, and I have no issues with my black plastic pots. I can't argue that root pruning is beneficial for plants. You know, that's well proven. But I don't really have any concerns with the growth rates of my pot plants. And if I really wanted to get into root pruning, there's a product called Microcoat that people have been recommending to me. You just spray it inside the plastic pots, and that'll allow root pruning to occur in my plastic pots. So maybe I'll give that a try.
Here comes a new challenger.
Get that out of here. Watch this next video.